It's hard to believe that I've paddled over 150, 160 kilometers and I've not seen one single other paddler. This coastline is so spectacular and so remote. It deserves to be seen by more people. It's so beautiful. This lake is so powerful though. God damn it. Incredible scenery. Just a ridiculous place. This is. I am staring into a foggy abyss right now. Here at Hattie Cove at the north end of Pukaskwa National Park. And I am on the coast of the largest freshwater lake in the world by surface area, Lake Superior. And it is big, it is wild, and it is beautiful. I am going to be making my way down the coast, and I'm going to be spending 10, 12, maybe 14 days. I'm not sure. I've packed a lot of food. And I'm excited. And I'm respectful of this body of water. And I can definitely confess that I'm a little bit nervous because this is about as big as it gets for freshwater paddling. While we are still in that area that has the Great Lakes, Laurentian sort of transition forest zone, this is getting a lot more boreal than what I've been to before. So it's really beautiful and really interesting to see the difference in the forest here. There's a lot more spruce, especially black spruce, Lots of birch. The forest might show a few more of the signs of things that I'm familiar with. It's still quite different and just really pleasant to be able to see and experience something new. Oh, I don't know if you can see this, but directly in front, there's like a dark band running in a straight vertical line down the rock. It's like an entire section of that granite has just calved off like a piece of an iceberg or something and been stripped. From where I am right now, it's about over 500 kilometers to the southwest shore and the US side of this lake. It's pretty incredible, and it's glass calm right now. It might be one of the best paddling days of my life right now. Just taking a little break here at Hattie Cove, which is apparently named for a pocket watch that was found here with a bullet hole through it. That was a long time ago. I don't know if it's true, but it's a catchy name for a cove. And it's a nice little spot right here. I could camp here, but it's pretty sheltered waters for the next little ways with some islands to duck in behind. So it's about 5 o'clock. I'm gonna push just a little bit further on, maybe another hour or so of paddling, and still get to a campsite nice and early, lots of daylight. Cave Harbor, well named. Fish Harbor, I just passed through, is an absolutely gorgeous spot. Rounding Sewell Point right now, which can be another hazardous area, fairly exposed, reflection wave danger, but not so much right now. Gonna pass through Gidd's Harbor and tucking into Wazo Bay North is the name of the campsite. It's actually a little peninsula just north of Wazo Bay proper, which I am hoping to explore tomorrow. This is my first night on Lake Superior, and it does not disappoint. Wow. Pretty good day of paddling. I got on the water, should have been a half day, got on afternoon, 12:30, and I plugged away, explored around, took my time, still put in maybe close to 25K today. So made a good bit of headway into the park today. Gonna check on the weather to see what that's gonna be like tomorrow, so I'm happy with where I've made it to for right now. I am deep in Pukaskwa National Park, and you do not need to go deep into this park to feel like you are so remote and so away from everything. Handy little kitchen organizer. Part of some new kit. Don't mind if I do. Dinner tonight's pretty simple. Some potatoes, some onions, a veggie ground, some spices and seasoning. I checked the forecast for tomorrow and the morning seems good. Calm, no wind, so that's a go. Afternoon seems like there's going to be lightning, heavy rain, so I'm going to want to be off the water by then for sure. And that's kind of going to be the name of the game here as I hop down the coast. I don't really know whether, you know, I'm going to be able to keep any kind of real schedule. Probably not, right? Superior keeps a schedule. I'm going to be just, you know, paddling when I can. I'm going to be doing my diligence, checking the weather, looking for good windows. When I see a good window like I had today, take it and paddle. I'm sure there's going to be lots of time to rest up, lots of time to be windbound on this trip. Oh boy. Well, I slept in. It's about an hour and a half later than I wanted to get up. I wanted to get up for like 6. It's about 7:30. It is super overcast right now. It was raining in my little gully back there. It was especially dark with the pattering of the rain on there. And my long day yesterday, I could not get up. My next stop is just around this point in the next bay over, a place called Wazo Bay, and has a big exposed beach area that protects some at-risk or endangered pitcher thistle. I actually don't know what pitcher thistle is, other than that it's some kind of plant, so I'm interested to check that out as well. So that's just a short little paddle around the bend. Rain is letting up for a moment. Still raining. Still definitely raining. But just a little less so. Okay, so I know what they're doing. I forget the name for what this kind of scientific measurement is, where you make a grid and you carve it up into equal sections and then you measure the amounts of whatever you're trying to study and see how much appear in each section, and then you get the average or whatever it is from it. God, I'm so bad with science stuff. But some biology class, you know, science practice is coming back to me. So that's what they appear to have done here. There's roped off little squares, and within that I can see flagging tape that's been put around the various marked specimens. And, you know, from that I guess I'll be able to get a rough idea of the health of the pitcher thistles. Transects, is that the word? I don't know. Obviously the pitcher thistle doesn't just grow within the fenced off area, but being careful not to trample any. This is what it appears to be. And it is a very fragile plant that can live for up to 13 years and only flowers though once in its lifetime. And it grows only along the Great Lakes, and it's at risk. They're just trying to preserve it, and what little there is, make sure that it doesn't get crowded out by the boreal forest or by the changing water courses, which is what that handy little board told me all this info. And yeah, interesting little plant. I'd like to know more about it. None of them are in flower right now, but then again, if they live for 13 years and only flower once, I'd say my chances are pretty bad that I would catch them during that time. Cool to see a bit of science at work there within the park. Not used to seeing that on every canoe trip. That was super rad. Pulled over, talked to a guy named Kevin, who is the boat driver and spends basically 9 months a year driving the ecologists and you know, park workers up and down the coast here so they can conduct their research, do maintenance on the coastal hiking trail, etc., etc. And so shot the breeze with him for a few minutes. Sounds like he's got a pretty sweet job. This is just stunning. The fog has really started to creep in though as I've rounded this next little section. I'm gonna check the offline topo map that I've got GPS referenced on my phone here. I guess in the fog I passed Fisherman's Cove about 2 kilometers ago. So I'm in the midst of a rocky section of several kilometers here where there's one large island that I can duck behind if things get rough and another 1 or 2 smaller ones. But it's choppy and it is foggy, but it's not so bad. So I'm gonna take a quick little floating snack stop here, smash back a bar of some kind for a bit of energy and just bash through this section here. What a place to be. Thunder's definitely getting closer. I'm out of the big surf and chop of the last section and in the sheltered bay of Simon's Harbor. Beelining it for the shoreline right now. Just trying to find this site here. There's no site at the spot where there is a site supposed to be listed for Simon's Harbor for a paddling site. Oh boy, this has turned into one of the nastiest paddling days I've had in a long, long time. Just absolutely sodden. Dry suit bailing me out right now. I would be chilled to the bone and soaked right through without it. I'm still wet. I'm still soaked inside with my sweat and condensation and everything. It is just on and off, just pouring rain right now. Paddled about 18 kilometers today. Tomorrow is supposed to be sunny. This whole system is supposed to blow through. The winds could be troublesome. 15k an hour, 25 kilometer an hour gusts. It's a northeast wind though, so we'll see. I don't actually know on Superior here, but I was talking to the outfitter, one of the guides, and he said that anything more than about 15k an hour winds in a canoe on Superior can get pretty tough. So if tomorrow's calling for 15 with gusts above that, I guess we'll see. Well, that's tomorrow's problem. Today's concern is getting warm, getting fed, and getting to bed. Okay. This is a vegan mac and cheese, so make of that what you will. With some sun-dried tomatoes that I put in, and some pepper, and the secret ingredient. Oh. Some hot pickled Italian peppers, pepperoncini. Bon appetit. That is just what my body needs right now. Oh boy. The one thing I will say about this particular bay, Simon's Harbor, where I'm at in here, is it is very sheltered from the prevailing winds. You know, I have a good view and can hear out to where I paddled out to, but I can't actually see the open water of the lake. But I can just judge by the sound and the sight of the waves smashing against the rocks over there. I can get a rough idea of sort of where things are at least from here. Awesome day of paddling though. You know, when you're comfortable and you're not cold, paddling in that rain, a little bit of a chop, that fog. It was a really, really cool feeling to be out here. Rosy-fingered dawn. A bit of a chillier day this morning. About 11 degrees right now. And just waiting for that sun to come up over the hills here and warm things up. It is going to be a clear day today, so that is nice. That north wind that came in last night, though, did chill things out considerably. I have a little bit of a problem where my sleeping pad has a minute hole in it, which has not been a problem for sleeping in the hammock so much in terms of comfort, but in terms of just the general insulation value of a hammock compared to a tent, made it a little bit chillier. So I'm gonna have to try and locate the source of that leak and patch it. So in case any paddlers are coming into Simon's Harbor looking for a port in a storm, this site here where it intersects the trail, or where it's listed as a site, there's nothing there. That's where I said, and this would probably be the best spot to go if you're into Simon's Harbor. I don't know why they have that marked that way. So that giant knoll up ahead there is the ramparts. and I need to be paddling on the other side of that. So it is some steep, rocky cliff face. Because the wind is coming from the north or the northeast right now, for the most part, it means that the side of the ramparts that I'm paddling on should be mostly sheltered. The wind should be coming, getting broken up by the cliffs and coming down over them. So maybe wavy offshore, but not too bad in this section. Just coming through Newman's Bay right now, which, as all of us know, is named after trapper, boat maker, and violin maker Billy Newman. I don't know when Billy Newman was around here, but he sounds like he was probably a pretty interesting guy if he was making violins and boats. Although I wonder if he called them fiddles. Right now I'm just passing by a spot marked as Grandma Stevens Fishing Pond, where some wheelchair-bound Wisconsin fishing enthusiast would be lowered over the side of the boat to go fish this tiny little pond that I'm paddling up to right now. Apparently it was her favorite fishing spot. Seems an awful long way to go to get to a pond when there's Lake Superior all around you, and just getting here would have been probably no small thing back in the early 1900s, but so be it. Okay, I'm calling BS that Grandma ever fished this pond, because even if she got over the side, the thicket is so frickin' dense. How would she ever got through it? Well, I'll be damned. The pond is pretty. There's the remains of an old fire pit here. But I'm not about to bushwhack my way through with a rod and then scrub along the shoreline just to drop a line in. I'll have to take Grandma's word for it. That was an outrageous fishing hole. A little worse for wear too. Epic freaking lunch spot right here. Just gonna take a nice little break at the base of this beautiful falls, Swallow Falls on the Swallow River. Man, quick little paddle. Just had to skirt under the one section of bridge that was just canoe height able to get under. Quick paddle up the river. Don't hear the sound of the lake, you hear just bird song. Just amazing. So these raised cobble beaches, which are just crazy by the way, they're so big, they're raised up 10 meters above the, you know, current water line of the lake, and they're just filled with fist-sized boulders or bigger. These were the location of what are known as Pukaskwa pits in Pukaskwa National Park, and they were used by the indigenous Pukaskwa people, and they would have been a circular depression sort of built up with stones on these raised beaches here, and what they were for nobody really knows. Whether they were for food storage, whether they were for hunting blinds, whether they were for vision quests, not anybody's really sure. But they are scattered around on the Pukaskwa coast on these types of beaches. Out of respect for local wishes, it's not asked that these are disclosed, the locations of them. But if you know where to look, the type of beaches you're looking for, there's a good chance you might spot one. Pretty cool. Just adds to the mystery of what's already just such an incredible, incredible place. Ever since I watched the late great Bill Mason in Water Walker on YouTube, I've been dreaming about Cascade Falls and the paddling that he did on Lake Superior. And I remember seeing this part in the film with this waterfall that just drops straight into the lake, and just thinking that it was so, so beautiful and that one day I would love to get here. I'm so, so pleased to be able to say that today's the day. This site is absolutely gorgeous. Not only is the waterfall just an absolute stunner, but the view out onto Lake Superior from this beach is just incredible. I'm gonna have a sunset on a blue sky day like this that's gonna drop directly into the lake in front of me. There's enough driftwood for every campfire for the rest of your life sitting on this beach. So happy. Also the remains of an old cabin of some kind back here. Bill Mason's, perhaps? The Grandma Stevens. Man, these sunglasses are so thin, it makes me feel like I'm wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Dream come true to be able to camp here. I knew Superior was going to be beautiful. I knew it had sights like this. But damn, when you're actually out here experiencing it, I don't know, there's no words. So beautiful. And tomorrow promises to be pretty epic too. If the water is calm in the morning when I get up, Otter Island is directly across from me, and there is an old lighthouse there that used to be manned but is now automated, and there's the old lightkeeper's house that's been preserved there, and it looks like an awesome spot to go check out. But it's about a 3-kilometer open crossing, so I have to make sure that, you know, the weather window looks right, and hopefully in the morning I can set off directly from this site and paddle straight across to it. It's about 11 degrees right now. Feels colder than that though. High is supposed to be 14 today. I want to get on the water as quick as possible and get moving today and just see where things get, because I'd love to get across to Otter Island over here. Okay, I made it into the shelter of Old Dave's Harbor, a small island just in front of Otter Island. Provides a nice bit of shelter, and where the old lighthouse keeper's house is, which I can check out, and then paddle to check out the lighthouse on the superior facing side. Crazy, the window's still intact. That's how you know how sheltered it must be in here. Wow. This thing is cylindrical and hollow with some spiky crap on the outside. What the hell is that? There's like loads of junk still in here. Old water heater, high def television, some tunes, and some whiskey. This thing was used a lot more recently than I would have thought. This stuff looks like from, I mean, of course there's more junk that's been added over the years, but I don't know, what did the bulk of it say? 1970s maybe? TV, stereo. When were those things invented? Just kidding. Oh. Wow, look at this old lighthouse. A couple more structures down here. Oh man. Helipad, and that's the new lighthouse keeper down there, sitting pretty still, soaking up the rays on that rock. Looks to be some kind of fishing boat out there too. You know, it's such a remote stretch of coast that we forget there used to be a lot more activity going along here. There was fisheries operating fish camps, there was trappers having trapper cabins, there was freighter traffic going up and down the Great Lakes, there was, you know, remote First Nations communities that, you know, needed, you know, services of some kind. And there were lighthouses with lighthouse keepers that lived on these islands in these remote, storm-wrecked conditions, just sitting inside while the rain battered the windows, watching the waves crash against the shore, playing checkers or chess, or solitaire, drinking Crown Royal. It's just an incredible time that, you know, is a vanished piece of history. And it's so cool to see that this has been preserved, you know, and that you can go and check it out. Amazing. Hopefully the crossing will be actually a little less choppy because I won't be close to the big cliffs of the Otter Island here, which were combined with the shallow water in the shoals, making it pretty unstable. The peninsula I'm just crossing right now is called Otter Head, just like Otter Island there, and it's significant because it marked the halfway point between Sault Ste. Marie and Fort William, which is now Thunder Bay. So for the voyageurs making that trip up the coast, it was like, all right, we've got halfway up this just leviathan of a lake, only the other half to go. I'm almost through Pukaskwa National Park right now, and at the very end of it, before you get to the Pukaskwa River, there's a giant peninsula called Point Le Canadien. And in bad weather, it's a no bueno situation, not where you want to be. It's a few kilometers to round this point and get over it. So I'm either going to stop just before and make camp for the day and hopefully make the crossing in the morning, or check my device, check the weather, see if it looks doable, and make it later today. Thin, wispy clouds above me. I've heard someone refer to them as mare's tails. And I think they said they presaged bad weather. It is supposed to rain tomorrow, so maybe that is true. There's the point. Well, if this just isn't the most gorgeous, sandy, crescent-shaped slice of paradise you ever saw, I don't know what is. Bonamy Cove. Absolutely beautiful. Soft sand beach. Big beach. So sheltered in here. It is sheltered on 3 sides, and there's the decent sized island of Richardson that's, you know, just outside of the entrance to this cove here. So this might be the most sheltered spot on the whole route, just about. It is lovely in here. I just pinged for a weather update on my inReach here, and now seems like a good window to hit Point Le Canadien. So this right here is Point Le Canadien. I'm perched up in Bonamy Cove right now, and I'm about to set out. And so it's about a 4K paddle to get around to Imogen Cove. Presumably around this point here is where it's at its most treacherous. Mentally prepared to take this on. if I paddle out to the point and it looks like too much for me and there's any way I can extricate, I will turn tail and come back here, set up camp for as long as it needs to be till it looks within my level. Just rounding into the first section. Before the point proper, but still decently exposed. Behind me there's a lot of broken rock and not anything that you would be wanting to come up against or try and land on if it was bad. Too soon. But so far this is manageable. Getting close to rounding the point and the wind should be at my back. Come on, baby. And now I'm moving through the chopped up section with the reflection waves. Oh, more or less through the worst of it now. When you cross to the south side, I mean, the wind lets up on you a little, but it is choppy. And those waves are coming at you from the side. So you're kind of trying to tack in and out of them a bit, but yeah, it was choppy going there. Tiring paddle. Mentally and physically. I'm exhausted. You know, you trust in your skills and in your equipment and your experience and all of that stuff, right? But, you know, when I was at Hattie Cove, before I launched out to round the point, you know, that thought kind of creeps in your mind a little bit about just how far away you are from any kind of a rescue if something capsized or if something happened out there in one of those tricky situations. And it's, you know, it's kind of best not to think about it. Definitely a remote stretch of coast here, and you need to factor that into your plans. Knock on wood. Safe journeys the rest of the way though. Being smart, being humble, being lucky gets you a long ways. Point La Canadienne. Man, that took it out of me. You know, for reference, I had updated my inReach for weather right before I left Bonamy Cove, and the winds were 8 km/h winds with 11 or 12k gusts, is what it was telling me, if that's true or not. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're by yourself in an open canoe on Lake Superior, where there is hundreds of kilometers of fetch for those wind to pick up and kick up waves and stuff, it was a handful. Yeah, maybe I could have paddled it in more, but I wouldn't have wanted to. I would have been happy with much, much less than what I did it in, you know? Getting past the point today was such a major, major achievement. I feel so good about it. Incredible, incredible scenery. Just a ridiculous place. This is. I'm exhausted though. I'm gonna sleep so well tonight. I hope my sleeping pad holds up. And I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow. I don't care what, is going on. I'm gonna take some time. Catastrophic development to my sleeping situation last night. Yes. There had been a small tear over the stretching of the fabric that I noticed in my hammock just yesterday. I was like, I need to keep an eye on that. When in the middle of the night, I shifted in my sleep and the bottom just gave out on this thing. This hammock is torn clean down the middle. And I spent the rest of the night sleeping half in the hammock, half on the ground. Sleeping, trying to sleep. So my hammock is trash. And we're tenting it now no matter what. Thank God I brought both things. Not the nicest way to spend the night, which, have I mentioned that the nights here are pretty freaking cold right now? But we are not staying here today. That whole plan got nixed. Sleep in, laze around, make some pancakes, whatever. No, I'm gonna pack up. Pukaskwa Depot was an old fishing camp that was active in the early 1900s, and it's just down at the other end of the beach here. Definitely not feeling like I need to do too much paddling. If I find a place that looks good, I'm going to grab it, especially if there is going to be some rain that comes later today. I'm not getting caught out like the other day. It's a few degrees colder now. I'm just not in the mood, so I'll pull over earlier and I'll set up. Large clearing here where stuff once stood for sure. So far I'm seeing just a lot of flattened space, indicating where stuff used to have been. The first mysterious depot item. Here's something. I have no idea what it is. Don't know who put these Muskoka chairs here. I don't know if it's the idea of a joke. They're very comfy to sit in, but they're just ever so slightly out of place here. Flagging tape. Should be on the right track. There's a trail cam. I don't know where this trail goes, and I don't have anything on me other than my camera and my bear spray. And so, I feel like it leads somewhere else. The Pukaskwa Depot was there on the shores. I see the flat, I saw the remains of some structures. I saw the flattened down areas. Saw the sign. This is definitely a trail and it's got some flagging on it, but it is long. I'm just, you know, taking a long walk through the woods, lightly dressed with no supplies on me. And I just feel like I can research this mystery when I get home. There was like 400 people at one time that would live there in the wintertime as they cut the logs up in the Pukaskwa backcountry and then, you know, put them on the river to float them down for spring. So that's really interesting to know. In terms of the ruins themselves, I couldn't find anything on the one side of the Imogen River, and then I found a few structures and such a little bit on the one side with the Muskoka chairs. But in terms of the remains of like a chapel and a graveyard, which I think were alluded to on the signage that I found, who knows, that might have just been reclaimed now completely by nature. Like, it's been a long time, and you know, I'm sure that it is quickly would fall into disuse and fall apart. So cool little stop, a little mystery on the trail there. Maybe that led me to the things that I was looking for that would be more impressive. But I started walking a long way down that trail and I couldn't find it. So I don't know, I'm gonna let that mystery rest for another day. Michipicoten Island off in the distance there. I think it's about 17K offshore. I don't have as many notes for this section of coast as I did for the Pukaskwa. I did my due diligence at the outfitter and I talked to one of the guides who was very helpful, and I looked over their maps to take some markings for some campsites and stuff on my own maps that I'm carrying with me. So I know where to camp and all that stuff, but you know, in terms of more general hazard points, etc., not as much with me. But after now paddling that Pukaskwa coast for 5 days, you get a sense of which areas are going to be more sketchy than others and where you're going to need to take a little more care. This will work. I'm at Le Petit Moor, and there is a small little campsite here. It also has like some remains of some structures, like an old trapper's cabin and some sort of like hearth or chimney. There's also some junk like some lawn chairs and things like that. but this will definitely work. I wasn't sure what I was going to find if I had maybe, you know, passed up a site at Crane Island that was, you know, going to be the best site I would come across at this point in the afternoon. But I'm glad I went a little bit further on, and this will definitely do for tonight. I'll be able to get nice and sheltered in here, prepare for whatever rain and stuff comes, and just chill out. Double shelter going on, the nice tent, nice cozy space inside with a floor that I'm not going to fall through, most likely. I am very excited about my little fortress of solitude that I'm taking shelter under here right now. Looking big picture on the map, and I've really rounded the bend, so to speak, and I'm definitely well over halfway through this route, and that's definitely faster probably than I thought, but it's just like while I'm able to paddle it, I'm gonna be out paddling, you know, and if the conditions are so bad that I can't, then I'll beat it. But so far, you know, I've been lucky enough that I've been able to be paddling every day and make some distance. Tomorrow's supposed to be a strong north to northeast wind, which would be too strong to paddle against, but now that I'm on the southern side, I'm somewhat protected here from the land. I feel like it could afford me some shelter, where if I hug close to shoreline and really just stick in, carve around the bays, you know, really follow the contours, I could be fairly protected. So I think tomorrow that's what I'm going to try and do, and that would be great if that's the case. Anything better than a headwind. Let that simmer. It sprinkled for a bit earlier, but that heavy rain is not set in yet. It is very nice in this tent right now, listening to the sound of the waves. And it is warm in here. I don't know if there's any nicer sound than the rain pelting against your tent and your tarp when you know that you're completely bone dry and safe inside. I had a fantastic sleep overall. Sleeping pad didn't hold, of course, again, but it was so warm in here. It was so warm in this tent. It wasn't as cold last night. All that socked in cloud cover, but nonetheless. Almost packed up here. Gonna have my breakfast and coffee real quick. Just figuring out my dinner plan for tonight. Since it's mostly dehydrated food, you know, I used to rehydrate when I got to camp, but then I got turned on to letting your veggies and other things like that start soaking in the morning in a, you know, watertight container, and it just helps with the digestion a bit. So a little bit of advanced planning for the day. But what do we feel like? We're gonna feel like tonight. I think spaghetti will be nice and easy after a day like today. Well, let's do that. Another day paddling Superior. Let's see what changeable face she has for us today. Yeah, the name of the game today is just very carefully hugging the shoreline. Because that wind is strong. It is tricky paddling. When you have the full shelter, it's very calm and you can relax and conserve your energy and catch your breath. But just even these short little stretches where I have to cross a little bay of just even a few hundred meters, I mean, it takes a lot. It is really going. I don't feel like taking a ride to Duluth, Minnesota. These are really not good conditions for paddling. Coming through those short little exposed stretches feels pretty dicey, especially when you've got, you know, the yawning mouth of Superior just behind you, waiting for you if your arms get tired. Section, there are a lot of rocks like this, big exposed kind of boulders that you can kind of squeeze and duck around in between, which is good. And then you kind of drift around the corners a little bit, staying as close as you can. And then paddle hard when you round into what could be the windy part. Coming around these points right now and paddling then up against it to the next sheltered spot. It's kind of like almost the feeling you get before you drop into a rapid. Terra firma. Well, you could do a lot worse in this spot, in this situation. It is rough out there. And I'm very, very happy to be off. And I've made a sweet, sweet little campsite right behind me up on that little embankment there. Can't really complain about the view either. Some dry birch bark, carry it with me. Knees weak, palms are sweaty. There's vomit on his sweater already. My spaghetti. Delicious. This is a pretty glorious end to today. The weather has cleared up. Didn't rain anymore. Sun came out for a minute. Got my beautiful fire, my nice spaghetti. But I definitely, learned a lesson about those onshore winds today. And not that I didn't respect this lake, but I respect it more now. And those were just not conditions that I would want to be paddling in an open canoe. Even with a double blade paddle, even, having confidence in my skills. Just those short little stretches where I was more exposed and had to give it against those winds was not giving much margin for error in terms of the huge body of water that it was wanting to push me out on behind me. So, you know what, thankful that I just, paddled through it and that I was, able to, take something from that lesson. But I definitely now know that it needs to be a lot less windy if I'm going to try and pull that move that I was doing today. It was good, it sounded in principle, but just not with those level of winds. But we're here. We're going to enjoy this beautiful meal, fire, some chocolate afterwards. This stupidly beautiful scenery. chilliest morning yet. It's about 8 degrees right now, which should be as cold as it gets. I think it's gonna get warmer the next couple of days. I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna get my coffee and oatmeal in me, and I'm gonna make some miles while it's early. And in the afternoon, it's gonna be maybe west winds, 25k an hour. That doesn't sound good, so I'd like to just maybe have made it further down the lake by then. So far, paddling conditions are excellent right now. There is a faint breeze coming from the offshore winds, but it is hardly stirring anything, and the lake is quite calm right now. Just taking a quick little rest on a beach site near the Ghost River, the Little Ghost River. And so this is my last sort of stop before making the charge around Point Issaquah, which I am gonna do because I'm feeling very energized, I'm feeling great, and the conditions seem really good for it right now. The winds are still coming out of the north-northwest, and the late afternoon or the mid-afternoon, they're going to be shifting around, and they're supposed to be strong west winds. But that's not till the mid-afternoon, and it's only about 10 o'clock in the morning right now. So I'm about right here right now, and so just a couple more kilometers paddle will take me around to Point Issaquah. The point itself isn't the actual concern. What it is after the point. There are high cliffs for several kilometers along where there's no real place to land. Steep cliffs until you get to Tamarack Bay. Several kilometers of paddle. So again, it's something where you want to make sure you're in the right weather window, which I think I am. And there's Issaquah, not too far in the distance. Approaching the Cliffs of Insanity. Second biggest mistake you can make. Never challenge a Canadian to a paddling match when death is on the line. Do you like that? Or is that pretty lame? It is dead calm in here right now, which is fantastic. But we are still going to enjoy that view on the move. We did it. We're through to Tamarack Bay. We've made it to the other side. Very good feeling. Just to have been able to move through that section with no hassle was just an amazing, amazing feeling. You know, it was one of the two spots on the map along with Point La Canadienne where you look at and you know and you read about from other people, you listen to other people, that this can be the more troublesome spots, and to be able to get through that without anything bothering me was really, really nice. And you know, that's kind of like then the last major hurdle, and now I know that I'm gonna be okay. It's still so early in the day. Superior's cooperating. I'm feeling great. So I think we're gonna push on to the Dog River, which would be absolutely fantastic to get there. So happy to make it through that section, you know, unscathed. Let's get going to the dog, shall we? It's only another 9.5K on a day where you've done 18 and change by lunch. these winds are building fast. It's really tough because the closer you get to the rocks, the closer you get to shore, the waves start to want to break and they get bigger. Oh, this is exhausting. God damn it. Whoa. Surfing USA at the end there. Holy crap. Well, that was half as much distance as the first half of the day and 10 times as hard. Laying down on this beach has felt better than laying down on any beach I've ever been on. Incredible how fast it changed out there. It was like, in the course of less than 2 hours, it went from being completely calm, with the winds having been in one direction, to completely changing direction and being just huge out there. The canoe, when I was surfing it in, the canoe was almost wanting to submarine down in between the troughs at a couple of points. It was gnarly out there. Of course, I'm just absolutely exhausted now. But you know, there was a point out there where then I realized that I was going to make it in, and then I was able to find a way to paddle through it, and that felt good. Hardly express how happy I am to be off this water right now. It is ferocious. And here's what I'm thinking. Call me crazy, but I'm feeling like I got the push to make it to Denison Falls. So it's about a 2.5 kilometer hike from the campsite here, and supposed to take it up to another beautiful, beautiful waterfall. Something tells me that's not, strictly speaking, factually accurate. You know, it's funny. I, of course, am just so glad to be off the water with how just howling angry Superior is right now. And that's great for general, you know, safety and everything. But here's the part where I should, you know, you need to be careful too. you're taking a 2.5K hike, easy stroll from the campsite. But you know, your 2.5K is a decent distance if you sprain your ankle or something. It's not like I've got my tent and everything with me. Anyways, what am I saying? Don't just look at the camera and watch your footing. Such an incredibly special spot. There's the one main waterfall here to my right, and this other smaller one. And there's a rope behind me to cross the creek with, to hike up to presumably one more. Crazy spot. It keeps going up too. This is the main cascade, but I took a quick scramble up the boulders there, and there's another smaller waterfall above that. Like, it's crazy how this whole section just descends. It is so rugged and so incredibly scenic. Hands down one of the most beautiful waterfalls I've ever seen. Hard to believe that I'm at the Dog River already. I've obviously made some good miles on the days I've paddled, but I've been able to paddle every day, which I wasn't sure that I would be able to. And I'm now well over 3/4 of the way through. It's an incredible spot. My stepdad, who is a paddler, actually kayaked this river, the Dog River, with a buddy of his ages and ages ago, early 80s, and he talks about how hard that river was, and coming out onto Lake Superior in July, the lake was calm, but it was snowing, and paddling back to Michipicoten, just freezing all the way until they pulled over at the beach of the Michipicoten First Nation, and then were invited inside to warm up, had some bannock and tea before they finished off their trip. It's a great story. And now I'm excited to tell him my own story of arriving at the Dog River. It was a pretty good one too. With the way I surfed it in today. Man. It was amazing to sit by that fire last night and listen to the waves keep crashing onto the shore even hours after the wind had died down. And then for that full moon, super blue moon to rise was just, you know, the cherry on top. August 31st today, last day of August, and just about packed up camp here. Gonna be moving my way a little bit down the coast. I only have about 27 more kilometers to go to get to Michipicoten, you know, harbor, when I'm taken out, but I'm gonna take it easy today. I'm gonna go for a place called Michipicoten Point, I think. It's about 15 kilometers down. We're just gonna get moving on down the lake and just find a nice camp spot. I can already see, compared to yesterday, that this section of coast that I'm paddling here has much more viable landing places in the event of bad weather. Even, you know, between the campsites, right? Between Tamarack Bay and Falstog Harbor / Dog River, it was pretty rocky, and there was not much that would work. Nowadays, most people, they paddle this coast with sea kayaks, and while the open canoe definitely makes it that you have to be more careful, I'm just thinking right now about paddling this in a birch bark canoe. No life jackets, no dry suits, no satellite transponders. I'm sure Michipicoten took more than a fair share of them. Just took a long extended lunch break here at Michipicoten Point, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous place to camp. And that's what I'm gonna do. I hummed and hawed, and I sort of was looking over at the map and was like, oh, it's only another 15 or 16 kilometers. I can paddle this out today if I want to. Looking at the weather for tomorrow, good chance of being windbound tomorrow. Weighing that, you know, whether I want to be windbound so close to the end of the journey. Then I thought, why? Why do I come out here in the first place? I came out here to savor all of this. I thought I was going to be out here for something like 2 weeks. I drove all this way from Toronto. I'm going to come all the way up, see this beautiful boreal forest, this amazing Superior coastline, and rush to get out of here. So what if I get windbound? You know? There's actually not many better places to be than right here. This is what I come out here for. So let's get comfortable. Let's stay here. I wasn't ready to end the trip today anyway. refried black beans, crispy potatoes, sun-dried tomatoes, hot sauce. Random, but delicious. It's hard to believe that I've paddled over 150, 160 kilometers and I've not seen one single other paddler. This coastline is so spectacular and so remote. It deserves to be seen by more people. It's so beautiful. This lake is so powerful though. It's a primeval coastline. That's how it feels. You know, it really does not feel like very much has changed since, you know, we've been around. The touch of humanity is light, it feels like, on this area. It's a really powerful, really special, really spiritual place to be.
In case you're wondering, this is what being windbound on Superior sounds like.
And this is what being windbound on Superior looks like. This is absolutely bonkers. I feel like I'm at Peggy's Cove right now. There are just monstrous waves just coming and just breaking off the rocks, sending huge spumes of water into the air, and then just crashing on shore. It is wild. I had ideas, but Superior had plans today. My little thought of getting away early got absolutely scuttled. It's funny how I haven't had a single windbound day yet. Now we're on day 9. Relative stone's throw away from my exit, and I couldn't be any more locked in on this spot than I am right now. Don't mind if I do. Probably not every day that I eat 8 pancakes in one sitting, but these are the times we live in. Big world out there. Don't I know it today? Yum. Should we go to the movies? We've got our popcorn, got some chocolate. All I'm missing is a giant Coca-Cola. But I think, is that one with Mark Wahlberg and George Clooney? A Perfect Storm? I think that's playing just at the walk-in theater over here, so let's check that out. It's been a good day. Doesn't sound like we're going anywhere just yet. Poke my head out. I'll say the wind and the waves are half as bad as yesterday. Still much too bad to paddle at the moment. Be careful what you wish for, eh? You want to extend the trip, you're not ready, not mentally ready to pack it in after such a beautiful trip. Well, guess what? Now you can't leave. I'm thinking that it's on its way to settling. I mean, I know it's on its way to settling because I checked my inReach and, you know, got the forecast, and I'm thinking that, you know, probably tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning is going to be my window to get out. So yeah, most of whatever was coming in has passed. There was a cool bit of lightning and stuff happening just further down the lake. It didn't really make landfall over where I was at. I just was treated to the show, but I didn't actually really get anything. It's a beautiful place to be. But I am hopefully coming to the end of my time here. I'm getting a little antsy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little antsy. That point is the big obstacle of tomorrow, but if worse comes to worse, I could always take out at Indian Beach, I think it's called, at Michipicoten First Nation, which is a beach that has road access that's on the north part of the point before you actually start paddling around it. Nice to satisfy my curiosity, and it was nice to get out of the house for a minute. Today was a different kind of test. It wasn't a physical test of paddling. It was a mental test, you know? You're completely at the mercy of this ginormous body of water. And when you have these locked in windbound days like that, you definitely are reminded of it, you know? When you're paddling and you're on it, you feel like you have some power, but when you're not able to get out on the water, you don't have any. At first it's okay, but then after a couple days, you're like, man, okay, I'm ready to get moving here. You can't. It was like being in solitary, but in a really beautiful deserted island kind of setting. But definitely the solitude, the remoteness, the greater responsibility and awareness you have to have paddling this lake, it's definitely adding up. Kind of ready to talk to a human again. I'm feeling sad that my adventure here on Gitchigumi is coming to an end. This big water here is really just something like I've never paddled before, and it's been an incredible experience to be able to be a part of it and to experience its power. But that's what I come out here for, is I come out here to test myself, you know? Of course I want the solitude and the silence and the spectacular scenery of nature. I chase those things. That's the true reason for coming out here, to feel that connection to this beauty. But I also, you know, you come out here and you can see what you're made of sometimes, right? And I definitely got tested to the full, you know? And you get taken to your limit, and then you find yourself a new limit. This has really felt like a voyage. If I'm not being too dramatic about it, it hasn't felt like a normal canoe trip in that way. It's really felt like I've been out to sea in a way, and when I come back, when I make it to that shore, I'll know I've made port. I'll know I'll be safe on dry land. You know? The horror. The horror. Michipicoten Point, you have been a lovely, lovely place of respite and rest. It's time to make our move. All right, baby. Let's do this. Oh my God. I feel like Moana paddling beyond the break. Oh boy. Oh, is that beautiful or what? almost at the beach where I'm gonna take out, and arriving just in time to catch this incredible sunrise over Superior here. What a perfect end to this trip. Whenever it's a damp and drizzly November in my soul, I have to get out and see the watery part of the world. And for me, seeing the watery part of the world is like this on canoe trips, you know? And I have a little tradition, which is that with my food barrel that I take with me, I write the names of every body of water that I paddle on every trip that I go on, you know? And it fills up and they get, you know, washed out, and then I add more. But it's a nice little visual reminder and a map of, you know, the places that I've been. I've never had a trip where I'm out here for this long and have journeyed this far and there's only one name to write and one body of water. But this lake isn't like any other lake, and this trip isn't like any other trip. It just is.